Hey fellow Vault Dwellers, it's Angry Turtle, and today I have for you very handy guide. What to keep, what is worth consideration in regards of all the weapons and legendary effects. There is a lot, so I will try to put it into a very nice, hopefully compact guide to cover all 5 main weapon categories that I think we currently have. It can be some exceptions, some other categories, but 5 main weapon categories I will cover. So we will start from classic melee. That's the first category. Classic melee, so all the melee weapon that you swing, either unarmed, one-handed, or two-handed. In this case, I have instigating with weapon speed and less damage while power attacking. And I do create a very handy table for you so you can screenshot them if you want to see it later. So that's for classic melee. And I put all the best effects that you can have for first star, second star, and third star. The stars are always fixed, like you can never have weapon speed as a third star or first star. Those are different effects that you can roll for different stars. That's important to know. So first star, Vampire. It's the best, even on slow swing weapons, because it works with Ricochet perk. It's awesome for any tank build. Then if you want damage, Bloodied or Instigating are great. Both weapon speed and power attack damage are awesome. Power attack damage maybe do not look as good because that's just 40%, but you should know it's multiplicative, so it's amazing. It's way more damage in practice than Bloodied will give you. So if you want damage but slower swing speed, that's good. Third star, not very impactful. So if you have it, it's nice. If you don't, it's still okay. Next category is auto melee, and this roll is almost perfect. Vampire power attack damage, and the third star is now good here. Power attack damage on auto melee, very important because every single attack with auto melee weapon is considered to be a power attack. So there is no regular attacks with auto melee. They all power attacks. So you want power attack damage for this beautiful 40% multiplicative damage bonus. About the prefix, Vampire, absolute number 1. Those weapons hit so fast, heal you like crazy. Absolutely awesome. If you want to go for full damage output on your weapon, Bloodied is to be considered. The third star, the less damage while power attacking, worth to know, only works when you are actively hitting an enemy. Just spinning up the weapon do not count to trigger this effect. You need to be attacking enemy, and it only works for the brief period when you are hitting enemy. Or longer period if it's a boss enemy, obviously. But yeah, usually it's a brief period. So either one of those is good. None of it necessary. The power attack damage, absolutely the most important above all. Then we'll consider weapons that you will use outside of VATS. We are going for regular weapons. For example, if it's a Holy Fire, it can be a heavy gun. It can be a regular gun like a rifle. Everything that you want to use outside of VATS. Like if you don't plan to use VATS, what then? What kind of legendary effects? And for ranged weapons, no VATS. There is a little bit more choices. And we have as well Vampire, if you want to be tanky. Vampire is basically good on any weapon. It will be always here. If you want damage, Bloodied or Anti-Armor. Anti-Armor appears and is about equal with Bloodied in here, as it is useful. And on top of that, with weapons that do offer armor-piercing magazine, it does stack additively, which makes it quite easy, for example, for the Anti-Armor Fixer to hit 90% armor piercing effect, which is in the same moment a cap. You cannot go to 100. 90% is a cap. So anti-armor, very handy as well. Instigating or quad, this depends what weapon we are talking about. Slow firing, one-shot killer, instigating. Low mag capacity, fast firing, quad. So those are the choices. A little bit more prefixes for range and no VATS weapon. Then second star, not too many. I will basically recommend either weapon speed or explosive. Honorable mention maybe damage while aiming, but that's only for snipers. And those two are the best. If you have one of those, awesome. Then lastly, the third star, In case of some weapons, break slower may be the most important. Some weapons do break really fast. But other than that, faster reload or reduced weight, all very handy. None of it is really necessary. And similar situation. The first and second star, the most important, but this time the first star. For range weapons, the first star, the most important. So you choose from those. There are exceptions that you could use something else than what I listed, but those are rare. So usually you want to keep those effects. Then we go into the VATS category. So weapon you will use in VATS, but not only Fixer, what you will think like a first choice, not only Stealth VATS and so on. It can be weapon that possibly you use in VATS, but not necessary, like Blooded Gatling Plasma. It works for both non-VATS and VATS category. So if you are looking to use a heavy gun in VATS, a little bit different legendary effects than if you are looking to use it outside of VATS. Some will align, but not all. So range for VATS. So for the first star now, quad is an absolute first place for most weapons. Exception will be high capacity weapons, or the weapons that cannot spawn with quad. For example, Gatling Plasma is already high capacity and cannot spawn with quad. Most weapons that can spawn with quad, it's the best prefix for range and VATS. Now, if you cannot have that, Blooded Anti-Armor, really good. And Vampire still in here, but I would say it's a honorable mention. If you go for range VATS, you want damage, so most likely not Vampire. Instigating, good for everyday use VATS weapon. If you attack regular mobs and possibly 1-2 hit taking them down, Instigating, really good. But those three, quad, blooded or anti-armor, main choices for range and VATS. Now, very important, the second star, I put crit damage on the first spot, and the reason for that is with our servers, even though in theory faster fire rate would be better, the VATS critical shot damage outperforms on adventure servers any other effect as you fire slightly slower but hit a little bit harder, which seems to be working way better on laggy servers. That's why it's a first spot. Then for everyday weapon, VATS enhanced 50% chance to hit. Amazing. That's my favorite for everyday use weapon. So that's for damage, that's for everyday use weapon, and then weapon speed or explosive, both awesome effects. The performance will vary from the server to server though. That's why not on top, even though in theory they should be on top. And lastly, the last third star, 25% less VATS cost, amazing for most, but it does not give you extra damage. So for the people seeking to max out DPS and do not mind how much coffee will be consumed during combat, faster reload is absolutely number one for boss killers. Then good effects, as always, reduce weight, break slower, depending on the weapon. Those are really good, and this is range VATS weapons, those effects you are looking for. If you have all three, let's say you roll quad railway rifle with VATS critical damage and faster reload, that's what we call God roll. So you can ask for anything for that. This is combination of all 3 stars or best for the situation and the weapon. That's what we normally call a God roll. So the weapon that has insane value on the market, never get rid of anything that connects or proper stars from first to last. Never get rid of those. Always keep them for trade. You can be surprised how much you can get for those on the market. Now, the last category, 5th category, will be launchers. Launchers must have its special category as they do work very differently. 2-shot, as you notice, 2-shot. It says extra projectile, 25% extra damage. In reality, launchers are exception. It's not 25% extra damage, it's fully 2-shot. You are getting 2 projectiles that do full damage. That's why it's so important to have 2-shot. If you look at my table, for all the launchers, there is only 1 first star. You just don't want a launcher with different star than a 2-shot. 2-shot is now where the money is, where the power is, when everything is for the launchers. There is nothing as important if you are rolling for any launcher. Missile launcher, nuclear launcher, Or if you either want grenade launcher, single shot grenade launcher, doesn't matter. If it's a launcher, it's a 2-shot. It must be 2-shot. Otherwise, you are leaving so much potential on the table. Then, second star, crit damage is here because yes, you absolutely can use it inside VATS and crit damage will apply. So that's very good choice, crit damage. Then damage while aiming, quite handy on those. This 25% is visible. I didn't list it on any other weapon, but as launchers, you use them quite often without VATS. This is very good. And they usually have low mag capacity, so weapon speed is not as beneficial, even though it is beneficial, not as much as you will fire those from 1 to, 1, that's weapon speed doesn't matter, but let's say from 4 to 12 projectiles, and you need to reload. So that's different. As well, launchers break like crazy, that's why I put break slower as the best possible choice. Then faster reload, as you will reload them very often. And lastly, less AP cost if you want to use in VATS or reduced weight. Those are indeed very heavy. If you want to keep several, reduced weight will be insanely important. So those are launchers, and this is the last category. There are some exceptions to the rule. For example, you can have fun with minigun without ammo, where bash damage will be good, but that's exception. That's the only weapon where bash damage is good, and only in this specific scenario. So for about 99% of scenario, the effects that I listed over there will be what is the best. I hope this little guide will be helpful for you. If you have any questions, as always, I'm in the comment section attempting to help you out. I'm doing my best. And that being said, thank you all for watching, and see you all in the next one.